question. Again, we are the 3D figure shows a view of an object. We have to identify the correct top view. So here what we have to keep in mind is that we'll be like the hidden lines or the ones dotted lines are the lines that are coming in the back or slanting and stuff. So the one that is near to us in topmost will be shown in dark lines. The one that gone is just immediately back of it will be shown in a dotted line, and the least one will be shown in the lightest dotted line. So the answer is basically A. Again, the next one is an elevation, orthographic question. We have to identify the correct side elevation. So if you look, we will see the answer is basically A. The answer is basically C. Going on to there is a slight error, that is we'll have to filter the options, because here in this question we'll have to skip off B option, because this is basically a bonus question. So B doesn't have the top end that is shown here, so basically B gets filtered out. We are left with options A, C and D. Also, there is no close representation that is given in the question. So basically B and C just goes out. So we are just left with A option and D option. And also it is clear that there is a covered face behind the semicircle that is happening. So basically A also goes away. So the answer is basically D. Going on to next question. Where do the projection lines cover in a perspective sketch? So we have discussed about the vanishing point, everything, etc. in our drawing class. We know in a perspective drawing, all the lines, if something is represented in a perspective view, everything converges to an imaginary point, that is a vanishing point. So the answer is basically B. Next one is, we just have to count the number of surfaces. So the answer is basically B. Going on to next question. Which of the following color modes is specific in green as a basic color? So muscle color system is basically the one that is a color system where we represent in terms of its value, etc., degrees, etc. So basically the answer is A, that is muscle color system. We are already covered it in our drawing class. The next question. The sequence of colors present in the Google logos, like I previously mentioned, we came across every such question, that is flags, typography, calligraphy, logos, everything. So Google was the most common one that we came across. So the order of the logo colors are blue, red, yellow, blue, green and red. The answer is basically A. Going on to also, like you remember, like we learned a formula in the class, that is BR by BGR. So like all the shortcuts that we created for such color remembering of logos, etc., in our analytical answering class. I hope you can recollect those classes. Going on to next question. Why is the ocean blue in color? Like in both our science classes as well as history classes about architecture and colors, etc., we already learned about this electromagnetic spectrum, etc. Whatever colors that are visible to our human eye are the ones that are reflected, and the unreflected colors that is happening. So basically it on the surface, underwater, the same material would have different colors, like blood is basically appears green underwater if you go deep underwater, because of the shorter wavelength of different colors, red colors, etc. So here, like why is ocean blue in color, is because the ocean absorbs red, orange and yellow color of the spectrum but reflects back only the blue color. So the ocean appears to be blue in color. In next question, we have been shown about an ascending order of the colors, that is basically lighter to the darkest. So the one that goes perfectly between those colors are A. The answer is A. Going on to next question. The chair named the Patron chair, which was designed by Werner Patron, was made with a new material in 1967. What is this material? So the material that happened to be introduced in 1967 was plastic, and basically also, if you can't recollect such materials, just refer the image and see like what it doesn't appear like glass, it doesn't appear like nylon, it doesn't appear like steel. So like if you don't know the answer to, just go and view the image properly, you will understand it's basically plastic. Going on to next question. Identify the four most important visual principles in the given dimensional black and white composition. So we'll just see what all are the things given. It's basically contrast, dynamic, symmetry, 3D effect, depth, texture, direction, parallelism, pattern. So we can observe dynamic effect here. Also we can observe 3D effect here. We can also observe depth because of different color grades. Also we can see different textures, and finally we can also see parallelism of lines because none of the lines meet each other. So basically the answer are B, D, E, F, G, and H. Going on to next question. Identify the four most important visual principal elements in the given black and white photograph. So we have been given vibration, focal point, asymmetry, one point perspective, divergence, pattern, rhythm, parallelism, and fluidity. So we can see focal point happening, that is from where the train comes. We can also see one point perspective because everything goes to the vanishing point, that is the origin of the train. We can also see patterns, different patterns of all both in the roof, platform, train, lamppost, everything. We can also see rhythm of these materials happening. Also finally a parallelism happening of the lines. Going on to next question. Identify the four most important visual element principles in the color composition given below. So we have been shown fluidity, depth, pattern, repetition, convergence, contrast, symmetry, figure ground, distortion. Also we can see fluidity happening here. We can see pattern happening here. We can see convergence happening here. We can see finally contrast also happening here of different colors. Going on to next question. Which era does this form of writing belong to? It's basically ancient Sumerian, because Sumerians are the ones that write in this like of different. They don't use letters; they use basically vectors. Basically, this was discussed in our history class. Okay, we are going on to next question. Like when you see Van Gogh, I hope you remember the paintings that we discussed in our art class as well as history class. So Vincent Van Gogh was a post-impressionist artist. He used bold colors and dramatic brushstroke to show his feelings. A painting that shows this best is a starry night. What does the twirls of clouds, dark structures, moons, planets, and winds in this painting depict? The answer is basically contemplation. Going on to next question. Color can change the sense of amplitude and size of the room. Which spatial effects does it have on the image given below? And we have been shown A clearly represents, what do you say? A clearly is a shortening effect, has a shortening effect. Like from the color gradation itself, we can understand. B basically has a highlighting effect. C basically has a enlarging effect, and D basically has a narrowing effect. So the answer are AS, BR, CQ, and DP. Going on to next one. So from this itself, it is clear. Like we had already discussed about different patterns. So this is basically something related to glass. That is the first thing that we understand while observing this image. Now let's read the question. The black and white images is a depiction of anything related to glass. So like we just have to narrow down the option that is coming for glass. So it's basically distortion of glass. The answer is C. Going on to next question. Only one of the following images given below is true. Correct and undistorted. Identify the image. That is a question. So like we have been given four different images of Taj Mahal. Like we just have to identify the correct one. If you look at the first image, we can see that the minarets are basically a bit higher or almost up to the dome. So basically we can exclude the option. If you look at C, the main building of the Taj Mahal is appearing too thin. So basically that is also not correct. If you look at D image, the minarets are equally high as the dome, because in this perspective view we doesn't, like, it doesn't basically appear in that way. So we know we are narrowed down to the exact image, that is B image. So answer is B. Again, the next question is a logo question. We had already discussed about this logo. So the answer is basically B. Going on to next question, what does the graphical representation illustrated symbolize? We clearly know this is a Mandela art that we discussed in our art class. So the answer is basically what do you say? We have been given Lakshmi, Kundalini, musical instrument, and Saraswati. The answer is D, Saraswati, because it is a pattern used in this paintings and stuff we use for Saraswati. The answer is D. Going on to next question. Without resolving anything yourself, choose the conclusion which logically follows the given statement. Every library has books. So basically, this is a statement. We just have to identify the correct statement that is listed from the options. So basically, we have been asked, books are only in a library. Libraries are meant for books only. No libraries without books. Some libraries do not have readers. So we have clearly idea that we have been told nothing about readers. So D doesn't come it in the uh, doesn't come as an option, a narrowed down option. So we have left with A, B, and C. A doesn't go, B doesn't go. The answer is basically book. No libraries without book. Going on to next question. Without resolving anything yourself, choose the conclusion which logically follows from the given statement. All that glitters is not gold. So the option is basically D, that is glittering things may be deceptive, because that is what the statement clearly means. Next question. Without resolving anything yourself, choose the conclusion with logically following from the given statement. So that is a very important, like, thumb rule that is given in the question, that is it is a logical answering question. So science or knowledge doesn't play anything here. We just have to find the loophole in the question and find the answer. So if you were alone in a dark room with only one matchstick and an oil lamp, a fireplace and a candle, choose from which would you light first. So basically the answer is matchstick. Going on to next question. Identify the countries whose flags are given below. So the first one is basically the flag of Australia. So A goes with Q. Second one is the flag of New Zealand. That is B goes with S. C is the flag of Iceland, and D is the flag of Norway. So the answers are A, Q, B, S, C, P, and D, R. Going on to next question. How much is a baker's dozen? So the answer is basically 13. The correct answer is D. This was already discussed in the class. Going on to next question. Match the architect and the building he designed. So the highlighting point about this is, like, all these buildings, like, though these people had designed a bunch of buildings, the options mentioned here are clearly the ones that we discussed in our class. So here it's like A, Charles Correa. Charles Correa, the building is Jawahar Kala Kendra. B is Raj Revolve. The answer is Asian Games Village. C is Laurie Baker. The answer is Dakshin Chitra Chennai. D is Bimal Patel. And the answer is basically Sabarmati River for Development Project. Going on to next question. Identify four architectural interior components in the given image below. So we just have to identify them. The answers are: rafters are shown here, hearth is shown here, cabinets are shown on the wall, laminated floor is the flooring, that is wooden flooring that is referred to, and finally ledges are also shown. So the answers are B, D, E, F and I. Going on to next question. Identify the four situations from the following listed that depicts Newton's law of inertia. So this is basically a science question. So like in physics class we had discussed all these. That is the basic laws followed for the mean examples of this law of inertia. So we just have to narrow the options. So car turn left and your side to the right. That is an answer. Next one is a magician pulling a tablecloth out under a pile of dishes. That is also an answer. When riding a horse, the horse suddenly stops and you fly over its head. That's an answer. And the last, finally, car suddenly stops and you start strain against the seatbelt. That is also an answer. Going on to next question. Identify the four most appropriate architectural components and elements of the architectural composition that you find in the image of one of the courts of Jawahar Kala Kendra, Jaipur, designed by architect Charles Correa. So this was an image. This was one of the first images that we studied in our history class. So we clearly know this is basically an image of an amphitheater. So we have been given an open air theater, that goes well. Also geometric, because it uses geometric patterns. Also I hope you guys remember about the eight-sided code that is represented, or what is what is told to you in the class. Going on to next one, that is centrality. We have an open stage or the amphitheater. The next one is basically order, that is like it follows a proper order. And finally the stage, that is again the amphitheater. So the answers are A, B, D, G and I. Going on to next question. Identify any four architectural components that you find in the interior image of a palatial dwelling found in Chettinad, Tamil Nadu. So I hope, like earlier when we were talking about vernacular architecture, we like you were told about the Chettinad houses. That is the vernacular architecture of Tamil Nadu. So basically, we have been asked about options: stone beams, wooden columns, raised plinth, illusions, rainwater harvesting, grid slab, geometric designs, brackets, and false ceiling. So the answers are wooden columns, raised plinth, geometric designs, brackets and false ceiling. So the answers are basically B, C, G, H and I. Going on to next question. Identify the four most appropriate architectural components and the volumes that you find in the image of the Belgium embassy designed by Satish Gujral at Delhi. So like we also discussed about Satish Gujral architect, and like he is not officially an architect and all those data, everything. So we have been given different options, that is step down terraces, rainwater gutter, community space, cylinders, murals, sit out, exposed brickwork, grid slab and domes. So the answers are basically step down terraces, cylinders, sit out, exposed brickwork and domes. So the answers are A, D, F, G and I. So with that we come to an end of our architectural and design principles, as well as analytical answering, also logical answering, color theories and a bit of physics and maths. So I hope you are satisfied with the answer keys. So please do tell us like your valuable feedback about our classes, and also if there are any clarifications or anything about the answer key. I hope the presentation was clear. Thank you everyone.
ഇറങ്ങി വരൂ കുട്ടികളെ, ഓടി വരൂ. ഹായ്. ഞാൻ ഇൻട്രാക്റ്റീവിന് വേണ്ടി എടുത്തു.
എക്സാം പൊതുവെ എളുപ്പമായിരുന്നു. കമ്പാരിറ്റീവ്ലി നേരത്തെ കണ്ടതിലും വെച്ച് ഈസി ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ പേപ്പർ ആയിരുന്നു. പക്ഷേ പൊതുവെ ഉള്ള ഒരു അഭിപ്രായം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ആവറേജ് എന്നാണ്. പക്ഷേ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക്
ഒരുപാട് സിലബസിലുള്ള ടോപ്പിക്സ് ഒക്കെ ഇതിൽ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതുതന്നെ നമ്മൾ ഫോക്കസ് ചെയ്ത ഒരുപാട് ടോപ്പിക്സ് തന്നെ ഇതിൽ റിപ്പീറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ട് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. നമുക്ക് സ്കോർ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റിയൊരു എക്സാം ആയിരുന്നു സെഷൻ.
ഞങ്ങൾ കുറേ മോക്ക് ടെസ്റ്റ് അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്തിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ അതിൽ ടൈമിൻ്റെ മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റ് വളരെ ഹെൽപ്ഫുൾ ആയിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ അതിൽ
ടൈപ്പ് നമുക്ക്
മോഡൽ എങ്ങനെയാണ്
ചെയ്യാം
എല്ലാം നമുക്ക് നന്നായിട്ട് റിലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റി. പിന്നെ സെൽഫ് പ്രിപ്പറേഷൻ ചെയ്യുന്നതിലും നന്നായിട്ട് ഫീൽ ചെയ്തു.
ഓക്കെ.
എക്സാം കുഴപ്പമുണ്ടായില്ല, ഈസി ആയിരുന്നു. ചിലതൊക്കെ ഇത്തിരി ഇത് തോന്നിയെങ്കിലും വലിയ കുഴപ്പമില്ല, നന്നായി എഴുതാനൊക്കെ പറ്റിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. മാർക്ക്
നമ്മളെ മോക്ക് ടെസ്റ്റ്
മോക്ക് ടെസ്റ്റ് എഴുതിയ ഒരുവിധം ചില ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസൊക്കെ ഒരു ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പം അതുകൊണ്ട് കുറച്ചും കൂടി ഈസി ആയിട്ട് ചില ഭാഗങ്ങളൊക്കെ അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റി.
നമ്മുടെ ഇഗ്നൈറ്റിൻ്റെ ആപ്പിലുള്ള മോഡൽ എക്സാമിൽ ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് ഒരുവിധം ചോദ്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ഞാനിപ്പോൾ എല്ലാ മോക്ക് ടെസ്റ്റും അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ എല്ലാം ഹെൽപ്ഫുള്ളാണ്. എക്സാം നല്ല ഈസിയാണ്.
എക്സാം കുഴപ്പമുണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല, ഈസി ആയിരുന്നു.